Welcome back, and this week there's been all kinds of things going on, so let me bring you up to speed. So Jeff was putting the second coat of primer on the parts that already had primer on them, and the last one you just saw was the rear bulkhead, and here's the fuselage. So they get 2 coats of primer and sanding in between, and then a single coat of top coat, and that'll probably be coming tomorrow because the guys have been working on sanding these down after Jeff got the second coat on them. The other thing that we worked on Monday was replacing the bearings in the Z drive on the CNC mill, because there was some play in it and it was causing our the milling, to not be very as accurate as it could be. And so we fixed that, got the new bearings, and got it all sorted out. And so now it's just putting out a beautiful finish. And here it is. This is doing the overhead console, and that's right now. It's just doing the recesses for where the sun visors sort of sit into it. And you can see on there how nice that finishes. There's no marks or overlaps or variations in the Z of it at all. No little swirl marks there are on the end. Those are unavoidable when we're doing a downhill cut, but normally I do uphill cuts, and we don't have those. But they're so small anyway; they sand out, so you're not going to see anything like that on the finished product at all. So anyway, that improvement is going to mean we speed things up a little bit, because less sanding work now because the finishes are better. And here's Jeff again, just finishing off that last primer coat on the fuselage. It's looking pretty shiny there. So that's all done now for the primer. And there again is the overhead console, and that's now working on milling the center part of it. So just very excited to have the mill running in such a good shape now, just giving us a much better finish, which is good news. And there's the rear bulkhead for the keel, all finished with the second coat of primer on there. And then there's the forward bulkhead plug, looking really good. And then over here is the little plug that's going to have the upper door skins, and here's the ones for the conduits. So the next thing that happens on those after the second coat, they get sprayed with a little bit of flat black paint, just like a guide coat. So the guys can sand them and take out any other imperfections. And then here today, I've finished going through all of the plugs that had the putty on them, so now we're back on the foam. So this is a weird looking one, but basically it's a plug for an intake for the roof. And there's the overhead console with the guide coat on it for initial sanding. And there's the fuselage with the guide coat on it. And you see Taylor there is actually rubbing it down now with a wet and dry, like I think he's using a 120 grit on there. So that will be ready for the top coat, which will be like a dark blue. That is the color that we have. And then it's the other ones that have the guide coat sprayed on them, ready for sanding. And then here's a little bit further along with that with the plug for the intake, and we'll have more on those in the coming days. So be back to doing a lot more foam work before we spray the putty the next time. So here's an update on our drivetrain. The shop who was going to do our engine for us just had been really, really busy, and in the end they just decided that they weren't going to be able to do it. So they put me on to another shop, and I actually went and met with a couple of guys there yesterday, and we had a really good meeting, and they've decided that they're really into it, and they're aviation guys, and they're basically moving ahead right away. So actually today they already ordered parts. This is the turbo that we're going to be getting. It's a Garrett GTX turbo, top of the line. That's already been ordered. They're going to be making an engine stand for us, ECU, exhaust, bunch of different things, and then custom wiring harness. This is the ECU that we're going to be getting. and Bosch top of the line one, fully programmable. So anyway, there'll be more updates on that soon. And in the meantime, Mark's been working on figuring out the belt drive system, and this is the torsional damper that we're going to use to prevent any sort of shock transfer between the engine and the prop. And here is the design that he's working on right now, and actually it's going to have two belts, and these are going to be cog-driven belts with the prop shaft there running oil, because we're going to have an oil-driven governor on the prop. So anyway, there'll be more updates on that soon, so stay tuned. Thanks.